that. So these grand juries, the grand jury put Chelsea Manning in jail for a year because she wouldn't testify. And she wasn't, certain people who shall remain nameless tried to make it like she was trying to cover her thing. She wasn't covering for anybody. She's against grand juries. She thinks they're unethical, and she's not going to participate, right? So it wasn't a trial where everybody could see what's going on. It was a secret grand jury, and she, on ethical grounds, would not participate. So she was in jail a year for that. So these grand juries hurt our community on a regular basis, basically every couple of years. Somebody in the Aaron Swartz State community will be affected by them, and they should be stopped. But this grand jury is what drove Aaron to suicide. Nothing else. No guilt for anything he did. He wasn't telling his friends what happened because he didn't want to pull them into it. They already had pulled his ex-girlfriend into it, Quinn Norton, and that was a real mess. She thought it was so silly, she could just tell them whatever they wanted to know and clear everything up. Well, they raked her over the coals big time and added 7 indictments to the list against Aaron. So her testimony actually resulted in 7 additional indictments, bringing it from 14 indictments to 21, okay? For things like wire fraud. And I told you the scenario. Where's the wire fraud? You plug an Ethernet cable into an open closet, into a router, at MIT. Okay, that was wire fraud. So there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and crazy stuff that, will hopefully be fixed in the future. But in the beginning, we just want to clear it up that he hadn't done anything wrong. That was what my deal was. He hadn't done anything wrong, I wanted people to know. And the last thing is, we didn't know why they went after him so hard. We found out from Ryan Shapiro, who files a lot of FOIA requests, and he actually, he got frustrated because they would get rejected under, because of a terrorist reasons. And he couldn't understand, terrorism, was it terrorism, what's the word for it? And they give you it's exemption. So there's reasons why certain things are exempt. And it's when you get your FOIA documents back, Freedom of Information Act documents, and there's all these things redacted. And they'd say, it's because of this, and they'd have these codes, and you never knew what the codes meant. So he decided, I'm gonna make my MIT thesis about this. I'm going to file thousands of FOIA requests, keep track of the rejection codes, and cross-reference them, figure out what the hell they mean. And that's the only reason that we know that he had his own court case specifically about Aaron's FBI file. And the feds tried to say that Aaron Swartz's website didn't actually have anything to do with Aaron. And so they weren't going to give us the information. And so he managed to convince them that, yes, Aaron Swartz's website has something to do, but he had to sue him to do it. So this is what you do when you file a FOIA request. If it gets rejected, you're just out of luck unless you want to sue him. And you're suing places like the Department of Homeland Security, who Kevin Poulsen also had a court case against at one point over Aaron's FBI file. They didn't want to hand over his file, didn't want to hand over the information. But what we found out was that somehow from a single email that he had sent to the University of Pittsburgh's computer science department, he had gotten scooped up. We don't know if it was an NSA letter that the school had gotten or what it was, but he had a single email to their department. We don't know what the email said. But for this reason, he had a mark in his FBI file for an international Al-Qaeda terrorist investigation. Okay? And you can see, I've got this front and center on the Aaron Swartz Day website up in the right-hand corner. It says, what Ryan Shapiro found out about Aaron's FBI file up there. So you can read about it, see it yourself. And we think that's why they really were after him, because they thought his file had this erroneous mark in it. And we just found that out in 2018. We finally found that out from Ryan's court case. So you see how we're still finding out as the years go on more and more about what actually happened, the nature of what happened, and why things happened the way they did. So I wanted to just kind of give you a short version of that in terms of his case. And so what we're trying to do is clear up things about him, let people know about his very important projects that are still going strong, like SecureDrop, which is implemented by almost every major news organization in the world, which allows people to upload documents. Not necessarily anonymously, which is why you have to be careful about what computer you use when you do it. But if you go to like a library and want to get something to, say, the Washington Post, you can use their SecureDrop implementation to upload it in a way that won't be traced back to you. And the journalists can get that information. They don't know necessarily where it came from, and they don't have to go to jail for not revealing their source if the feds come after them. And so SecureDrop is one of the main. He finished the prototype with Kevin Poulsen, right just like a month before his death. And no, we don't think that's why anything had anything to do with his death. In fact, we don't think any funny business had occurred with regard to his death, because people ask me that question a lot.
Aside from pressure.
It was pressure from the grand jury
Right.
that drove him to suicide.
Right.
And we do believe it was there. If there was anything that was irregular about what they found or about what happened, then I would, feel more comfortable about like, oh, we don't know what happened or whatever, but we kind of do know what happened. And it doesn't seem like anything irregular took place. And mainly his partner, Karen Steinberger Kaufman, who was living with him at the time, said he was very depressed. And so we don't think there was any funny business, just because that's one of the questions that people ask me a lot. And also we know what these grand juries do to people. They destroy people's lives. And they've been doing it for a long time. And they'll continue to do it as long as they exist. And I don't know how we're going to get rid of them, but we really do have to get rid of them. They are, it's like a star chamber, or where there's just, it's not really justice. It's nothing that should be in a justice system. Yet another way, perhaps, that our justice system is broken in different ways. But the third reason that we started this was to protect other Aarons. So there's all sorts of people at different universities and things doing innovative things, and they could be seen as, MIT especially, it was so weird for MIT to be involved in this case, because MIT historically is sort of a hacker school. They do pranks, they invent things, they're always, in many ways, one step ahead. But another thing that Ryan Shapiro found out, Aaron's father actually works for MIT, used to work for MIT, which is another weird. So they're a very large organization. We don't think there was they weren't doing it because his dad worked or anything like that. I'm just saying, it's such a large organization with so many people. Kevin Poulsen, in his DHS case about Aaron's FBI file, had MIT intervene as a third party. And what was that for? Oh, that was so they could make further redactions to the material before it went public. Well, what could that be about? They wanted to remove names of their employees, and before things went public, And we don't really know, because there's a lot of redactions, we don't really know what they were covering up, but it sort of tipped us off in a way that we would have never been tipped off otherwise, right? So MIT was actively working with the government, we think, against Aaron to, prosecute him on this case, and we don't really know why. It doesn't really make any sense. We know that going from some things that other people found out, so there was a new head of IT at MIT at the time, and they knew that Aaron was going to only use journal articles. They put a camera in the closet, and Aaron saw the camera right away and kind of sheepishly covered up part of his face. I don't know if you've seen the video or not, but he obviously wasn't that worried about it because he wasn't really doing anything wrong, you know.
Right.
And next thing you know, he's riding his bike home, and the police run him off the road, basically, beat him up, take him in, and there's another video of him at the police station talking to the cop that checks you in intake. And he's asking the cop, you know, why am I here? What is this about? He has no idea. He's certainly not thinking this because of the journal articles that he's been downloading, right? Because that's just crazy. It doesn't make sense, right? So, anyway, we want to protect future Aarons, and that's another thing that we do. And we trying to just raise awareness of that kind of thing, and also letting them know if things get stressed out, give us a call. You know. Tracy and I, where'd Tracy go? Tracy's not here now. We have an anti-suicide pact. Where if you feel that way, you tell somebody. Instead of actually doing it, you know, oh, this is the time you gotta talk to somebody. You know, I've had a lot of friends attempt suicide. I'm not gonna say their names, but there's a lot of them. A lot of them in our community. We're a fragile community. And so it's important to know that, you know, you're not alone. You can always talk to any of us. And we'll be happy to talk to you about it, and happy to do whatever we can. Because sometimes you just need somebody else there that you know is there. And this is the thing with Aaron, is that, you know, we would have all been there for him. We didn't know. You know, Brewster was ready to help. Brewster couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, the founder of the Internet Archive. But Brewster had helped out with his legal costs and was ready to do more. A lot of people were ready to do more, but Aaron didn't tell us. He was really worried about drawing more people into the quagmire, especially after what happened with Quinn. And so we didn't get a chance to help him if we had been given a chance. So if you ever think about that, give somebody the chance to help you. It usually only takes one person to help you realize maybe that you don't want to do that. So the point of this 10-year anniversary thing is actually, as I mentioned before, sort of to channel the sadness into strength, into doing projects in his honor and to helping each other and making the world a better place, like he wanted to make the world a better place. He literally went around from day to day and flew around the world making the world a better place. He's trying to fix things. That's what, if you saw that on the internet, Son of Boy, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen. Brian Knappenberger was here in 2014, the year that came out. And he wanted to fix things, and that's what we like to do too. We like to fix things, and sometimes it's not so hard, and sometimes it's like, think about copyright law. The copyright law is broken, or other things like the grand jury stuff I was just talking about. It's going to take a minute to fix it. It's not going to be a quick thing, but if we all work together, there's nothing probably that we can't do. People told me I couldn't get Chelsea out of prison. They would take me outside. Tracy knew. Tracy told me I could do it. But people would take me aside and say, "Oh, Lisa, it's so sad. You shouldn't spend your time on this. It's never going to happen." Like really respectable people I really respect too. Like not idiots. And the thing was, we had to try. We had to give it a try. There was one shot, one guy that could help her, right? And he was leaving after he lost the election, and it was worth a shot. And the whole Aaron Swartz community and all of Chelsea's community, the LGBTQ community, all these different organizations, all these people came together and pulled it off. And now she's a DJ. Now she's DJing everywhere around the world, and it's really a dream come true kind of thing. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't do stuff. And the thing that Aaron showed us, he did the SOPA blackout. When SOPA, originally, the phone call Aaron got was talking about SOPA as a done deal, as if it had happened already. It was too late to do anything, he was told, right? And within that weekend, Aaron had this whole thing worked out, and I think it was maybe a week or two later they did the circle blackout. Like, it happened really fast because there wasn't any time to waste. It was going to pass. So don't let anybody tell you there's things you can't do, and we can all do things as a community. And if you have ideas about things you want to do, let us know. We'll support you any way we can. Getting the word out, connecting you to experts, doing whatever needs to be done. That's what we do. So what I'd like to do is, if there's anyone else that would like to say a few words, I'm happy to pass the mic so that people can talk. Is there anybody that would like to say a few words?